All right, let's get started. We're going to jump right into learning about React. But first things first, let's learn why we're going to be using the React framework instead of just developing something in vanilla JavaScript. One of the things that you'll hear people talk about with React is its speed and how fast it is compared to web applications that are developed in vanilla JavaScript. The way that React is able to do that is by using something called the virtual DOM. We're not going to go into a lot of detail about the virtual DOM right now, but if you're interested in learning more about it, I've included here a link to a YouTube video with a pretty simple explanation of how the virtual DOM is different than the way that web applications work when you're developing in vanilla JavaScript. So feel free to pause the screencast and click on the link to watch that video if you want. For now, it's enough to know that the virtual DOM helps make React work a lot faster than vanilla JavaScript. Another really awesome benefit React gives us is the ability to create reusable web components. And I'm going to talk about this through an example. Right here, we have the Bootstrap default navbar. If you haven't used Bootstrap before, it's just a CSS library that has pre-written code that makes some elements look really good for you. But you can see that it's about 40 lines long, and it's pretty unwieldy and difficult to understand. And if you were to include this in an HTML page with a bunch of extra content in it, it would be pretty difficult to decipher and everything would start to feel pretty cluttered. React's web components allow us to take these pieces of HTML, so this 40 lines that we see here, and put it into a component of our own, almost like a JavaScript variable. In this case, we call it mySweetNavbar, but you could call it whatever you want. And we can see that this is a lot easier to read if you're coming into it as a developer to see exactly what is going to be where. In this case, the body of my HTML will have a navbar on top, some main content in the middle, and a footer at the bottom. The ability to do this is really nice for reusing these components on other pages if we need to, and for making our code look a lot nicer when we're working in it. Another reason why React is so awesome that I like to include is that it's maintained by Facebook. Whether you care for Facebook or not, there are a lot of really smart developers at Facebook whose job it is to work on React. On top of that, because React is so popular, there's a lot of contributors on their GitHub, which is open source, who contribute to the React framework, which means it's going to be evolving for the foreseeable future. And last but not least, React is very hireable. At vSchool, we focus our curriculum and our efforts on the things that are most likely to get our students hired. And React is very in demand right now. So if one of your goals is to get a job as a front-end developer, React is a great choice in terms of frameworks to learn. So that's enough talking for now. Let's jump into some code.